Hello everyone, this week's Torah portion is Bamidbar, in the desert, literally it's translated. Somehow the world had the translation of numbers, which seems to be the case in this parashah actually. So this week's parashah is Bamidbar. In this week's parashah we count the Jewish people. Moshe and Aaron, they counted the Jewish people, and then we have a certain amount of numbers of the Jewish people, which is probably where they got the numbers translation from. So I want to speak a little bit about this week's parashah and different concepts in this week's parashah that come up. So the first thing I want to speak about is actually the counting itself. The counting itself is very interesting because they would count each person with a machatzit shekel, not a full shekel, not a full coin of certain value, but machatzit, a half. I don't want to speak about machatzit shekel today, but I do want to speak about the counting itself. Why did they have to count? What did the counting mean? So I'm going to open up in Kedushat Levi, Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Meboditchov. He writes something, he asks a certain question. There's a pasuk in this week's parashah, a verse. It says, just like Hashem commanded Moshe, Bemidbar Sinai. That's how he counted in the desert of Sinai. So now it's weird because the language of Hebrew, or the language in this pasuk actually, is backwards. Kasher tziva Hashem et Moshe, vayifkedem b'midbar Sinai. It switches it around. It seems backwards. Yesh ledakdek. Havi le'lememar vayifkedem b'midbar Sinai, kasher tziva Hashem et Moshe. It seems backwards, he's saying. V'nireh dihine Hashem yitbarach natan Torah liYisrael. So there's actually a secret in this pasuk, in this verse. Hashem, the Creator, gave the Torah to Bnei Israel, to the Jewish people. V'nishmat Yisrael, the soul of every Bnei Israel, hem gufa Torah. The souls are actually the bodies of the Torah. How do we know, he says? Ki Yisrael hem shishim ribo otiyot laTorah. Because every single person, at the time there was shishim ribo, it was 600,000 souls that were receiving the Torah, 600,000 souls, corresponding to the 600,000 letters in the Torah. Every single Jewish person corresponds to a letter in the Torah. Nimtza Yisrael hem haTorah. So actually, Bnei Israel themselves, the Jewish people, they are the Torah. Because every single Jewish person is actually a letter from the Torah itself. So the Kedushat Levi is actually bringing us a secret. When Moshe was counting them, he was actually telling us he's teaching them Torah. Every time he counted a different person, he taught them Torah. Something amazing. So now we thought that, okay, this guy's 1, this guy's 2, this guy's 3, this guy's 4. No, it's not like that. It's not simple. It's not by its face value. It's actually, he taught them Torah while he was counting. The commandment that Hashem had to Moshe was what he used to count Bnei Israel. The teaching of the Torah was actually the counting. So he tells us that the Bnei Israel, the Jews who were Israelites, not the Levites, the Israelites, we have Kohen Levi Israel in the Jewish people. So we have the priests, then the Levites who work under the priests, and then Israelites most of the nation were Israelites. So the Levites weren't counted in this counting, which is very, very odd. So the Kedushat Levi is telling us is that the Levites were actually corresponding to the Torah Sheba'al Peh, the oral Torah, not the Torah Shebechtav, the Torah that's written down. The 600,000 letters of the Torah are actually corresponding to the Israelites, not the Levites. So it's just very interesting to see what is he actually telling us. He's telling us is that when Moshe counted the Jewish people, it wasn't just a counting. Why did you need to count? What's the reason for counting? He was actually teaching them the Torah while he was counting. So it's not about the counting, it was about teaching the Torah. So we see there's a certain value in teaching the Torah that it adds to the counting. So I want to teach you, I want to look at the Arizal. The Arizal gives us a technical story about how they would count the Jewish people. He says that they would count each person, every single tent in all of the camp. Amen. Lukutei Torah, Sefer Bamidbar, parashah Bamidbar. He says, Livnei Ruven, Kasher. So he asks a question. What was going on? Why were they counting? And when they were counting, why do some tribes get Livnei, to the sons of Reuven, to the sons of the tribe of Reuven? But there's one tribe, it doesn't say to the sons, it just says the sons of Naphtali. Naphtali was the only one. It said the sons of Naphtali. It didn't say to the sons, this many to the sons, right? It says, V'livnei, lama b'chol hashvatim lemar livnei. Why does it say in all of the tribes, it says to the sons of Shevet Naphtali Acharon, the last tribe? It doesn't say livnei Naphtali. It just says bnei Naphtali. It just says the sons of. It doesn't say counting to the sons of. So the Arizal is focusing on this one letter. What's going on with this one letter? Why are we focusing on this one letter? So he's actually, through this one letter, the question on this one letter in all of the Torah, he's actually bringing us how they used to count, which is pretty amazing. He tells us, I'm going to just say it over. He tells us that they go by each tent. They go each tent. They ask, who are you? What's your father's name? And which tribe are you from? So they'll write it down. His name was the son of this person who's from this tribe. This guy is the son of this person from this tribe. They go each person in Bnei Israel in the Jewish tribe. Now they have everyone, but is it organized? No, the Arizal tells us. He tells us they would organize it even further. Look at this; it's amazing. They take a second notebook, they write down each name, but now in the right order. First, the tribe of Reuven. They would go through the entire first notebook. Where is the tribe of Reuven? Where are these people? They write it down. Then they go by Shimon. Now, not in that exact order, but when they get to Naphtali, who is the last tribe that they would count, they don't have to, because once you get rid of everyone else, you know that the first notebook has everyone that's Naphtali. So you don't have to write them down, which is why the Arizal is telling us they didn't put that one letter. So we know that there's no letter in the Torah that's extra and no letter in the Torah that's missing. So the Arizal is telling us this letter is not missing. We know that it's not supposed to be like that because this is how they used to count. So the Arizal is showing us the counting was so exact, so organized. It's that it's impossible. It's like no person today, I don't think I would be able to count and come up with this idea to count a certain amount of people. It's amazing. So that's the counting that they perform. I want to move on to this concept of the learning of the Torah that Moshe taught the Bnei Israel. He taught them Torah. So now I want to go to the Sfat Emet. He tells us something very beautiful. The Sfat Emet says about this week's parashah. Let me open up to the place so I know what I'm reading. He says something very interesting. We know that because Bamidbar is when the time that Bnei Israel spent in the desert. Eventually they reached Har Sinai and they got the Torah, and then they moved on and went into Eretz Yisrael, to the land of Israel. But the Sfat Emet is telling us something very interesting. The Midrash, Torah shenitna Bamidbar, the Torah that was given in the desert, ma elu chinam lechol bayei olam, kach divrei Torah. He tells us that the Torah itself is free. Doesn't cost money. You can go online, BibleTransformation.org. You go online, you find the classes, it's free. It's free. But it's not that kind of free. It says, the Sfat Emet, it's the kind of free where anyone who wants to learn, anyone who has the desire to learn, can come and learn. They have the opportunity to learn the Torah. It's not something that you need to pay for specifically in effort. It's something you can just do. There's nothing stopping you from doing it. That's the free he meant. דבר אחר, אם אין אדם עושה עצמו הפקר כמדבר, אין הוא יכול לקנות את התורה והמצוות. So now he brings another pasuk. Says if a person doesn't make themselves like a midbar, he's not able to buy the Torah. So now we have certain wording in this pasuk. It's very, very strange. If a person doesn't make himself hefker, nullified or ownerless, like a midbar, like the desert. So he's coming to teach us, why is this week's parashat Bamidbar? What is parashat Bamidbar? What is Bamidbar? So Bamidbar is actually like a desert. What is like a desert? A desert is something there's nothing there. No one owns it. It's nothing. It's basically nothing. It's nullified. It's ownerless. That's what hefker is. It's ownerless. No one owns the desert. The desert is the desert. There's nothing in the desert. So what is he coming to teach us? There's two psukim here. We have one that says that the Torah itself, learning of the Torah, is free. Anyone can come to teach it. Come to learn it, I'm sorry. But then the other pasuk says that you have to be a certain level of nullified to learn the Torah. So how is that possible? What is he telling us? How are these two psukim existing at the same time? So the Sfat Emet gives an amazing answer. ולכאורה בית אלו הפירושים סותרים זה את זה, they contradict each other. כי איך הם חינם שצריכים לעשות עצמנו ונכסינו הפקר כמדבר? How is the Torah free if we have to do something to ourselves and make ourselves hefker, make ourselves nullified in order to buy it? אכן ודאי תורה חינם. It's true, 100%, the Torah is חינם. מי שירצה יכול ללמוד בה. Anyone who wants to, anyone who has the desire to learn Torah, they will learn Torah. They can come and learn Torah. But first you have to have the desire. אבל לקנות התורה, that's to learn the Torah, that's to get to the Torah. But to buy the Torah, he says לקנות, to acquire the actual Torah, היינו לראות לו דבקות בעצם התורה. What is to buy the Torah? The Sfat Emet is telling us to have dvekut, to have a cleaving onto the essence of the Torah, the true Torah. כמו שאמר זקן שקנה חוכמה, היינו שיש לו חוכמה דירה וכאן בליבו. He says that pasuk, a person an old person who's acquired wisdom. What does acquired mean? Kana, the word buying, has the word kan or ken, a nest, which means that the wisdom is actually nesting within him, within the wise person. So what is a person who's buying the Torah? It's a person the Torah is within him. It's nesting, it's residing within him. That's why we say every morning, you should mix the words of Torah within our mouths. That the Torah should be swallowed into your blood. You should be living the Torah. It should be within you. Not something that's physical and around and just a wisdom and intellectual. It's something that you live, something that's within you, within your blood, within your soul, within your mouth, always saying it. What does it mean? You can't buy it, you can't acquire it, you can't liknot, you can't kana, until you become hefker, until you become nullified. So he's telling us that if we want to learn Torah, if we have the desire to learn Torah, that's great. That's the first step. Everyone can come and have a desire and want to learn Torah. But what do you do when you want to acquire the deeper parts of Torah? What do you do? How are you supposed to achieve that level? So he's telling us, the Sfat Emet is telling us, Sfat Emet is telling us, you have to become hefker like a midbar. You have to become nullified. You are not really existing if Torah exists in two entities. There's a rabbi that I listen to sometimes. He talks about how some people say in Judaism, there's no duality in the Godhead. No, most people don't understand what that means. It means en od milvado. There is nothing but him. If you say there is the creator and something else, then that means the creator and something else both have power. There's no the creator and me and Michael Jian. There's no the creator and the phone and the chair and the book, and there's just the creator. So if you think everything is nullified, everything is like a midbar, everything is like a desert, it's nullified within the creator, I am giving myself up, surrendering to the creator, because I know that he is the only existence. That takes you deeper and deeper into his Torah. So the Sfat Emet says, a person who learns Torah, not for the sake of learning Torah itself, but for the sake of something else, for the sake of being smarter, for the sake of getting intellectually farther in life, even though you're learning like that, even though it's not supposed to be like that, eventually you'll come to a level where you will be learning just for the sake of learning, just because Hashem commanded you to learn Torah. So now he's going to take it into a deeper level, which relates to actually our time right now, the Sfirat Omer. והמשנה חושבת, ממחי דברים שהתורה נקנית בהם, ומסתם ימי ספירה, מוכנים לתקן אלה הדברים ולבטל כל הכוחות והמידות לתורה, ואז התורה נקנית. What does it mean, שלא לשמה בלשמה? We know that in the Bala Sulam's introduction to Talmud Esther Sfirot, 10 Luminous Emanations, he gives a whole Dvar Torah on this one pasuk, Shelo lishma ba lishma. Someone who doesn't learn for the sake of learning comes to learn for the sake of learning. So what is he telling us? Is that a person so the Mishnah, this is a Mishnah who gives this pasuk, it was actually talking about memchet dvarim, 48 things that a person does in order to acquire this deep essence of etzem Torah, the atzmut, the essence of the Torah. So how many days do we have in Sfirat Omer? we have 49. 48 levels, he tells us, is the same as the Sfirah that we do. And then when we count it, we get to the last level, and then we're able to acquire the Torah. So he's telling us, once we're going through these levels, we're able to be nullified, all the powers and all the mannerisms, and give it up and surrender to the Torah, then the Torah can be acquired. What are we doing in the Sfirat Omer? We're actually going closer and closer to Matan Torah, to the giving of the Torah. We can't be koneh, we can't be acquired, we can't acquire the Torah unless we're working on our midot, working on the kochot and mitbatel ourselves to the Torah. We want to be surrendering ourselves. We don't want to be someone who's important, and we want to be Eved Hashem, we want to be serving God, but we want to have the power that Hashem wants us to have. Because if we don't go with Hashem, then what are we doing? Why are we being more spiritual? Who are we? If we want to go through the path of spirituality, we have to understand that Hashem is everything. And everything encompasses under Hashem. So we have to be surrendering to that existence and surrendering to that mindset in order to go deeper into His Torah and go deeper into spirituality. So what happens? בטובו נותן המתנות וההכנות שנוכל לקבל המתנות שהוציאנו ממצרים והקרבנו לפני הר סיני הוא סיוע לתקן המידות ולזכות להיות מוכן לקבל התורה. The preparation for receiving the Torah was these hardships, getting out of Mitzrayim, going through the desert. It's all these things that are preparing you for receiving the Torah. So the Sfat Emet is telling us, if you want to be prepared to get this endless amount of blessing and light in your life, what are you prepared to go through? Are you prepared to go through the darkest times? Are you prepared to go through the ocean until the ocean reaches your nose, like Nachshon ben Aminadav? What are you prepared to do? What are you prepared to go through? How many hardships are you ready to do? Not go through them on purpose. Are you ready? Can you take it upon yourself? I will go through life, and I know Hashem wants me to do it because He wants me to do it. It's sort of like a mission that Hashem gives us through spirituality and through Judaism. We are going through this darkness time, this galut, let's say. But at the end of the galut, it's just a preparation. The galut is a preparation for the end, for the Mashiach, right? So how do you know? The Sfat Emet is telling us the time of the Bamidbar, when you mitbatel yourself, when you're nullifying yourself, become hefker, you're actually preparing for the receiving of Torah. You nullify yourself, you become like the Bamidbar, you become basically nothing, and then you're able to get to the higher level. And this is, Sfat Emet is teaching us, this is what spirituality actually means. It means making yourself hefker, nullifying yourself, surrendering yourself to Hashem, to the Creator, because there's nothing but Him, and through that you're able to move forward and go to a higher level and go to receive the Torah. It's amazing. So the Sfat is teaching us an amazing lesson. If we want to go to a higher level, if we want to go through life, if we want to make money, if we want to have a family, if we want to, whatever you want to do, go through life in a spiritual way and go to a higher level, you have to be ready to go down a little. You have to take your level down. Become nullified. Become nothing. The more nothing you become, not nothing, but the more midbal you become, the more nullified to Hashem, the more willing you are to serve Hashem, to serve the Creator, the more you will receive at the end. And that's what the Sfat Emet is teaching us. So I want to read in the Zohar something very beautiful. I'm in Sefer Bamidbar, Dfus Yashan, Daf Kuf Yud Chet, Amud Aleph. If you're in the new print, it's on page Vav, Sif Kaf Aleph, Ma'amar Simchut Yerushalayim. So I'm gonna read, and we're gonna see what the Zohar talks about in this week's parashah. Rabbi Elazar Patach. Rabbi Elazar opened with this Dvar Torah on the pasuk of Ish al diglo beotot levet avotam yachnum bnei Yisrael. It says in this week's parashah, each person on his flag with signs. Each flag had their own sign for the certain group of encampment. To his father's house. That's how they should make camp. Machane. That's how they should make camp. So Rabbi Elazar Patach, he opens up with the pasuk, Simchut Yerushalayim v'gilu ba kol ha'aveya. The Yerushalayim should be happy, and all of its loved ones will rejoice. Kama chaviva haTorah lifnei Kadosh Baruch Hu, ki bechol makom shedivrei Torah nishma'im. How loved is Hashem's Torah? How much love does Hashem have for His Torah? Because every moment, every place that the Torah is heard, HaKadosh Baruch Hu v'chol tzivotavv kulam makshivim lidvarav. All Hashem and all of His tzivot, all of His armies and His encampments and His battle groups, kulam makshivim lidvarav. Everyone is listening. All the angels, all of the Hashem and all of His angels in it, all of the upper worlds are listening to these divrei Torah. Just when one divrei Torah is being said. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Creator, is coming to live with him. David Melech says, every place that I will remember my name, not David Melech, Hashem saying, every time I will reveal my name, I will remember my name, I will be there. The ones who fall, the ones who hate this person, he's saying here, the ones, his haters will fall before him, he said like before. So now we're talking about the mitzvot of the Torah, the commandments of the Torah. The mitzvot of the Torah, the commandments of the Torah, elionot lemala. The upper mitzvot, the upper commandments, are above, in the upper worlds. But let's say a person does a mitzvah. Let's say he does tzedakah. He does and gives a dollar to tzedakah. That mitzvah itself, the mitzvah goes up in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in front of the Creator, and is glorified. So the mitzvah itself goes up to the Creator, says, you know who made me? This person made me. This person made this mitzvah. Like the mitzvah is saying, you made me. This person made me. Just imagine, every person who does a mitzvah, the mitzvah itself goes up and says, who is your Creator? Who created this mitzvah? Ploni ani. Umin ploni ani, sorry. So from this person, I was created. The person who does the mitzvah in the lower worlds awakens the mitzvah in the upper worlds. Just like a person awakens the mitzvah from below, does the mitzvah in this world, it awakens above. It does peace between above and below, and does a union between the female and male aspects of God, which are called Zerampin Malchut, for those of you who know. And it becomes a union, and becomes peace. As Hashem blessed is the person that does a mitzvah of the Torah in this world. Okay. Let's move on from this. So the Zohar is telling us something. I believe it's something amazing, something a little cute. It seems a little cute because the mitzvah goes, oh, this person made me, Eliyahu Jian. He did this mitzvah. He made me. I'm from this person, right? Like it seems weird or a little cute in a sense, but imagine that every time a person does a mitzvah, it goes in front of the Creator, and you bring peace to the world. So it shows you the power of one mitzvah. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to do such a big act, such a huge thing in order to make a mitzvah. Mitzvah could give $1 to tzedakah. More than $1 is also good, but it's showing you that there's so much in one mitzvah itself. You don't have to do these amazing things in order to get the shalom, the peace to the world. If you really want to go on a spiritual path, if you really want to bring peace to the world, bring Mashiach closer, these things don't come, they do come through the big things. But like, who are we? So even if you do something small, don't feel like you're unworthy because you did something small. There are people who do better, that's true. But because of what you did, no one else can do. Every person has their own part. We just said that every Jewish person has a letter in the Torah. So if they're a letter in the Torah, every single Jewish person has their own mission, has their own path. So that means that there's one mitzvah that person, that Jewish person has to do in order for them to bring the Geula closer. So it's something amazing the Zohar is telling us. No one person is not special. Every person is special. They have their own thing to do. Every mitzvah that they perform is actually amazing. So we don't want to look down on these mitzvot as if they're not so great. It's just staka, it's just $1. No, every dollar counts. Every mitzvah, everything you do, every dvar Torah, every good act that you do. You bring an old lady across the street, I don't know, but everything you do is amazing. And that's what the Zohar is coming to teach us. I want to speak about one more thing in this week's parashah. Something very interesting, because not a lot of people, the Zohar goes into depth with this. I didn't want to read it this time because it goes very, very into depth about the flags of the encampment of Bnei Israel. What were these flags? They had certain symbols, they meant different things. The Zohar tells us that these different flags represented, and the different directions of the camp represented the 4 different angels. I'm going to read from Kerem Shlomo. Kerem Shlomo also quotes the Zohar. Kerem Shlomo is giving us sort of like a look into this week's parashah, and what were these flags? What were they? What did it mean that? We'll go into it. I keep speaking. Let's just read. Ishirat deglo באותו לבית ופותם יחנו בני ישראל. איתם מדרש רבה, חיבה גדולה חבבה מקדברך ושעשם דגלים כמלאכי השרת, כדי שיהיו ניכרים, ומניין שיהיה אהבה לישראל, שכן שלמה אמר. So, Kerem Shlomo is telling us, the Creator had a great love that they created flags. The Jewish people created flags, just like the angels, Malachi Asharet, they also had flags. So then, eventually, it says by the Har Sinai, they saw the angels with their flags. They saw the camp, the Tzvot Hashem. They saw all the Malachi Asharet, and so they saw that these Malachim, these angels, actually also had their own flags. They also had their own encampment, and so Bnei Israel were like, we want that holy flag sort of going. But Kerem Shlomo says like this. מה עניין הדגלים שנתאהבו להם בני ישראל, ובוודאי אין הכוונה כפשטות, למפה עשויה בצבע או בציור. The Kerem Shlomo is coming to teach us, if you're looking at just it's a nice flag, it's let's say the Jewish star with the 2 blue lines, it's not something physical. Kerem Shlomo is coming to teach us something even further than that. Don't look at something b'pashut, don't look at the simplicity of the pasuk, look further. ונגיד לוי אמר שאמרו חז"ל, כיוון שבאו למדבר סיני אמר אלוקים, כך הוא כבודה של תורה, שיתן אותה לדור בעלי מומים, ירפאו אותם, מניין שלא היו בהם חגרים, מניין שלא היו בהם גדמין. It says, by Har Sinai in Bamidbar, in the desert, there were many, many people who had different sicknesses. And right before they were receiving the Torah, they were healed. Every single person, blind, deaf, mute, handicapped, whatever it was, they were all healed. Every single person. Everyone was healed. Why were they supposed to be healed? What was wrong with the fact that they had certain blemishes within them that they needed to be healed? The Al-Shich says on Pasuk, says, what does it mean that their bodies were healed? We know a person has the same amount of parts of the body is corresponding to the same amount of mitzvot in the Torah. 240 bones correspond to 248 positive commandments, and 365 I'm sorry, I might have confused that, but there are certain parts of the bodies, there's 248 and 365. Just like the 248 mitzvot aseh, the positive commandments, and 365 lo ta'aseh, negative commandments. If somebody, chas v'shalom, does a sin, and he's over, and he transgresses against this commandment, that specific part of the body that corresponds to that mitzvah becomes tameh. So what happens when you do a mitzvah? Kerem Shlomo is telling us when you do a mitzvah, that part of the body becomes tahor. It becomes purified. Tameh means impure, tahor means purified. So when you do a mitzvah, you're purifying that part of the body by doing that mitzvah. I'm going to skip further. Okay. There were 4 flags that correspond to the 4 directions of the camp. They were actually also corresponding to the 4 angels that surrounded the Kisei HaKavod, the throne of glory of the Creator. Mimino Michael, Mismolo Gabriel, Milfanav Urikel, Mochorav Rafael. So the 4 directions, or the 4 angels, to the right was Michael, to the left was Gabriel, in front was Urikel, and behind was Rafael, and above was the Shekhinah. And so too in the physical world. There are 4 angels, and in the middle is the Shekhinah. That's what the Zohar says. I didn't want to go into depth, because the Baal Sulam gives a very deep Dvar Torah on this specific pasuk, on this specific concept of the flags. And to our inyan, to our subject, we see a very, very interesting hint. The 4 names, if you take the 4 names of the angels, Michael, Gabriel, Urikel, and Raphael, they actually add up to the gematria of Shin Kuvav Tzadik Yutav. We know the Anabakoach has amazing powers, and one of the last line of the Anabakoach, Shavatenu Kabel Ushma Tzakatenu Yudea Tulumot, the 7th line, the Roshei Tevot, the first letter of each word, if you add them up numerically, you get the numeric value of these 4 angels. So, what does that mean exactly? I know it's a lot of math and a lot of, wow, that's amazing, but what does that mean? So, before this, Shlomo was also saying that Shin Kuvav Tzadik Yutaf is also the name for Refuah. And that's why they had to be healed by the last day. But let's see it inside. Once they finish to fix the Sfirot. We're coming back to Sfirat HaOmer because we're almost in Shavuot. They reach the 49th day of the Omer. And so we know that each week of the Omer is, each one is 1 Sfirah. Chesed, Gvurat, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, Yisod, Malchut. And each day is also a Sfirah. So you have Chesed Shebechesed, Chesed Shebegvura, or Gvura Shebechesed, Tiferet Shebechesed, right? So you go order by order. And by the last day, what's the last day? What's the 49th day? Malchut Sheb'Malchut, V'naseh Tikun Shel Hashem HaKadosh, Shin Kuvav Tzadik Yutav. Once you get to the last day is when you focus on, you meditate, you mechaven on the letters Shin Kuvav Tzadik Yutav, which is the gematria of these 4 angels. So what is he telling us? When they got to the 49th day, when they were ready to receive the Torah, they saw these angels. They saw them. They saw these angels. They saw the encampment that the angels had. And they were like, I want this. All of Bnei Yisrael, it said that they had tava. They had a lust for that kind of energy, that kind of spirituality. They were having this ta'ava, they were having this lust or desire, very deep desire for these flags. Now what were these flags? We know, because of the Kerem Shlomo, that these flags were actually these 4 angels. The Kerem Shlomo is coming to teach us something powerful. If we want to reach the last day of the Sfirah, which is Shavuot, receiving the Torah. Right now, we're getting to the last week of the Sfirah. If we want to receive the Torah, if we want to get to the highest level, the level of angels, an amazing spiritual level, we have to look at how are we getting there? What are we being mitaken? He says there's a certain word that mitaken, to fix. What are we fixing? What are we doing within ourselves to get to that last level? What are we taking upon ourselves that we're going to do this year that we didn't do any other year? We're going the next level. We're going up and up and up. We're not going down. We're not going flatlining. We're going up. We're always moving up. So the Council is teaching us these four angels, Michael, Gabriel, Urikel, and Raphael. They add up to the name Shin Kuvav Tzaddik Yutav. It's the last name. It's the last aspect. It's the last level of the Sfirat Omer. And so when we think about that, we're thinking we want to be healed. He says at the beginning of the Ma'amah, we want to be healed. The Bnei Israel, they were healed right before they received the Torah. Where in your life do you feel like you need healing? Where in your life do you feel like things are not working? I need some help. Creator, I need some help. Bring down something that will help me. And bring down something that will heal me. Heal my body, heal my soul, heal my mind. When you think that you're ready to move to the next level so that the Creator can help you move forward, that's what we want to think about when we're getting to Shavuot, when we're getting to this week's parashah, the parashah of the galim, the flags. So that's the kavanah, that's what we should be thinking about. We want to move to the next level, but we want to make sure, we want to make a move. We want to do something about it so that we can move. We're not going to just move by itself. We have to do something within ourselves, not something physical. You can do something physical that's do good too, do some mitzvot, but change something within your mindset that you can move up. You can move to the next level, move to the madriga, move to the level of the malachim. And so I want to give a story, something amazing I read, amazing story. So the original storyteller of this story was Rabbi Shlomo Carlebach. He was a very famous storyteller. He used to have a guitar, he used to sing it, and everyone used to sing with him. And he would give these amazing stories. One of the stories in the Sefer that he wrote, Sipurei Neshama, he didn't write it, but it was all his stories compiled. He gives a story about, let me quote the rabbi so I don't make a mistake. Rabbi Chaim Mitzanz. So Rabbi Chaim Mitzanz, he used to have a very bad leg. His leg, like his physical leg, he was always limping, and he needed healing. He had a bad leg, so he went to the doctor, and the doctor said, "You're gonna need surgery." They had surgeons back then, so he said, "You're gonna need surgery." He used to live with Chaim Mitzanz. Just to give context, he's back in the days where there was a shtetl and all these things in the Eastern Europe. So Rabbi Chaim Mitzanz was a very, very big Kabbalist, very big Chassid, and eventually he just needed to do surgery. So the doctor told him, "You need surgery." So Rabbi Chaim Mitzanz, when you get surgery, you have to go under, give you certain drugs that make you fall asleep. So Rabbi Chaim Mitzanz says, "You know what? I don't want the drugs. I'll take care of the pain. You take care of the leg." So something amazing, like, what is he gonna do? You think you can just not feel the pain? The pain is there. So how are you not supposed to feel the pain? So Rabbi Chaim Mitzanz tells the doctor, "You take care of the leg, I'll take care of the pain, but do one thing. After the surgery, don't wake me up. I'll be lying there, but don't wake me up." So Rabbi Chaim Mitzanz goes back, and he comes back the next day. The doctor is ready to perform the surgery on his leg. And within a minute, Rabbi Chaim Mitzanz falls asleep. But it's not a regular sleep. It's as if Rabbi Chaim Mitzanz passed away. You can't see breath moving. You can't see his lungs going up and down. It's as if he died, chas v'shalom. So the doctor starts like freaking out, but his sons are there. His sons tell him, "Don't worry, do the surgery, and everything will be okay." Because that's what our Father told us. So Rabbi Chaim Mitzanz tells you everything's going to be okay. You got to believe everything is going to be okay. So the doctor performs the surgery. Can't see Rabbi Chaim Mitzanz breathing. He just performs the surgery, finished the surgery, and after an hour after the surgery, he's still not awake. So the doctor starts freaking out. He's telling his sons, "What should I do? Should I wake him up?" So the sons say, "It's going to be okay." He said, "It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay." After 4 hours after the surgery, Rabbi Chaim Mitzanz wakes up, and he looks at the doctor and he says, "How was the surgery?" The doctor says, "The surgery went great, but how are you alive? What happened? Why did you fall asleep like that? Why did it look like as if you were dead?" So Rabbi Chaim Mitzanz says, "I learned from my teacher, the Rav Shitzer, Rabbi Naftali Rovshitz, Zera Kodesh. He told me, that there's a certain type of simcha, certain type of happiness that's not tluya. It's not dependent on anything. There's simcha, there's happiness that's dependent. I'm happy because I got my piece of cake. I'm happy because I got a raise at my job. I'm happy because I got my seat on the bus. I don't know. But that's simcha tluya b'davar. But then there's a happiness that's not tluya b'davar. It's not hanging on anything. It's not dependent on anything. And that type of happiness is the essence of happiness, the happiness that the Creator has, the happiness that exists in the existence of the Creator. So Rabbi Chaim Mitzan says, I knew that the pain of this surgery would be so much more than the happiness that was dependent on things. Because when you're happy with something, and it's dependent on, let's say, you're happy with your health, and if you get pain, the pain overrides that happiness. You're not happy with your health anymore. So that happiness disappears. It's as if it doesn't exist. So I knew I had to go into a certain happiness that doesn't rely on anything. I had to go into the happiness of a Kadosh Baruch Hu, of the Creator, which is only in the next world. I had to pass away, almost pass away. Basically, he went into the next world and came back in order to receive this happiness. And eventually his leg was fine. He got the surgery. But there's two things I want to learn from this story. The first is that if you want healing, you got to believe it's going to be how the Creator wants it. You got to believe in certain people who have the powers, like tzaddikim, like Rabbi Chaim Mitzan's. They have the power to make sure that the healing will happen. If it's going to be okay, it's going to, like, if they say it's going to be okay, you're going to believe it's going to be okay. But also a certain deeper lesson from the story is that people might be happy with what they have because they have it. But what happens when they don't have it? Where does that happiness go? We want to be happy even though we have these things, not because we have these things. I'm happy because I'm happy with my Creator. I'm happy because I'm happy where I am. When we look at the things we have and we're happy with them, we're never going to have this lust for more. We want to have a happiness that wow, I'm so happy. My body is healthy. I can walk. I can breathe. You have a happiness that's not reliant on other things. And so that type of happiness is very, very, I'm sure I don't have it because I am not happy when I don't get my slice of cake. So it's something that it's very hard to work on for me, but it's something that we should all be working on together so we can reach that level of happiness. And B'ezrat Hashem, B'zchut Shavuot and B'zchut the Shabbat that's coming up, parashah Bamidbar, we can attain a level of happiness and a level of blessing and a level of refuah and bracha that we've never seen before. B'ezrat Hashem, Amen. Have a wonderful Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you.